other computer didn't crash at the same time, so I still have my notes up. Share. What have I got going on here? It's just another YouTube video to make. O2, no, not that one. Lecture arrays, this one. And no, I don't want to save it. I've got my mouse attached to my other computer right now, so I'm using the touchpad. And we were on slide 29. Yay, and we just kind of like finished this up. Okay, so those are the levels. This initially starts out, draw finger paint. This initially starts out at VCC. I should turn my camera on. How do I do that? Let's go. Oh, great. Oh, wait, I know where it is. Don't do that. It is up here, start video. Okay. So we went through there, and VCC, and this node X initially starts at VCC, but it will get pulled up through to VCCP through that transistor. Okay. We can use this same circuit as what they call this a NOR driver. This is basically the driver that drives DEC, which is going from 0 to VCCP, VCC to VCCP for the input of that buffer inverter. My phase voltage is going to go 0 to VCCP, and my word line is going to go 0 to. Did you see that? Okay. Yep. The other virus. Okay. So this is a NOR driver. I'm going to have to put it on every single word line. Word line 0, word line 1, and they have to fit in that pitch. So I want to keep this a minimally sized circuit. So yet another way to do it is to use the CMOS driver. The advantage of the CMOS driver is it has lower power consumption. The disadvantage is you get leakage current through this transistor right here, which is going to cause the VO low to go up a little bit. And it's a little bit more complex to lay out. But if you're looking for a low power consumption, then you can possibly use this one, 31. And then we have Dr. Brower's second favorite comic strip. Yes, we're beta testing it. Life is a beta test. We never get done with it. You're always improving it. Once it gets perfect, then it's time to move on. Okay. So the decoder has to take the 10 address bits on the input and turn it into 1024 lines or however many you need on the array. So it'll be n to 2 to the n decoders. I'm going to need to find ways to spread that out. Now, if I have this little tiny row pitch and I've got 10 address lines, do I want to run all 10 address lines into that itty bitty tiny row pitch? They won't fit. That's the punchline. So we're going to do this hierarchically, and we'll talk about that more somewhere in one of the later chapters. But there's a couple of ideas for how we can do a row decoder. This is the row decoder as we would have seen it in like 180, 110. I've got 4 address bits, and I bring it into here. If all the signals, if all the RA signals are high, high and high is low, I nod it, I get a 1. Wait, high and high, I get a 0. Don't let me do that.
Yeah, because those are NANDs.
It's a NAND, yeah.
Matt, he's back.
Go away, McAfee. What happened to it? Okay, so this is a 0. Same thing here. I'm going to get a 0 here. 0 or 0 is 0, which pops out a 1 here. So if all those signals are high, if I have 4 high signals out here, I'm going to get a true value on decode for that row. All it takes is one of these signals switching to 0. And if one of them switches to 0, this switches to 1 and this switches to 0, and that row can no longer be decoded. So what I need here is I need unique values, and I can do this by putting inverters. I have to draw an inverter with my finger. I could, instead of tying this to RA1, stop moving. I could.
You're getting a little bit of an echo there, Julie.
Okay, I'm yelling. Instead of tying this to RA1, I could tie this to RA1 not. And then that would give me a different address for that row. So I can't move that back over. Okay, that's a standard static decoder. Now, another type of, and that's using static gates. NANDs and NORs are smaller than ANDs and ORs, and which is why we use them. Even though it makes the logic, you have to think a little bit harder. Another thing we learned in 380, remember the dynamic logic. This is what we're using here. It's dynamic logic. I pre-charge. When I pre-charge, I take this signal low. And when this signal is low, M1 turns on and it charges, makes DEC, makes this signal high, which makes DEC star low, gets run through an inverter, and DEC is low. That's in the pre-charge portion. Then I change colors. I turn pre-charge high, and when pre-charge is high, M1 goes off. OF is off. And then the state of RA1, RA2, and RA3. If all 3 of those are true, I pull the signal down. This signal right here is really RA1 ANDed with RA2 ANDed with RA3. Thank you for putting up with my finger painting. So if all 3 of those signals are true, I'm going to pull, and it's NANDed, I'm going to pull that down. I pull DEC star down. I invert M5 and M6 as an inverter, and this goes high. So slightly smaller logic. I no longer need 2 NAND gates and an OR gate. I've been 2 NAND gates and an NOR gate is 4, 8, 12 transistors. This has considerably, and this includes the driver, has considerably less than 12 transistors. I can fit this into a smaller space.
You have a question in the chat from Isaiah Shipley that says, what is M7?
What the heck is M7? M7, that's a very good question here. Because of all the lose a threshold nonsense, M7's purpose in life is to pull this node up. It's a pass transistor to pull that voltage up to keep from losing a threshold. Okay. This is the pass decoder tree, and I believe you see this on one of the homework assignments. The basic idea here is in the pre-charge, phase is high. If phase is high, phase star is high, then this transistor is on, word line gets pulled to 0. Now I change colors again. I go into evaluate, and in evaluate, this goes low. Now, when this goes low, if I get a low on the output here, I'm going to pull this up to 1. So my evaluate portion, I've got to decide whether I pull it up for 1. And Isaiah, this has these transistors up here, M5, M6, and M1, have the same purpose. They're to pull up that bus. Because if I initially did this, this is just past transistor logic. I've got a RA1 and phase 0. But remember at node A, we would have lost the threshold voltage. M5 exists just to pull it up to VCC instead of losing a threshold. So this is a past transistor string. What I have coming out of here is that C, C, let's just move you guys over. Everybody lean to the left. Okay, C equals phase star ANDed with RA1, ANDed with RA2, because then it goes through M4, it gets ANDed with RA3. And normally, as I went across there from A to B to C, I would have lost a threshold voltage, and by the time I got to C, I would be at VCC minus 3 threshold voltages. So these 3 transistors, M5, M6, and M1, pull that back up to VCC. They're pull-up transistors. And then this signal, it gets all ANDed together. If this is high, it pulls it down to ground. If it's low, what's going to happen? That stays off, and it will get pulled up to VCCP through that latch. Okay, this is the big idea for what's coming up. I said you got 10, if you have a 1024 word lines, I've got 10 address lines. I don't want to have to run all 10 address lines to every single word line. So I'm going to pre-decode, and I'm going to do this hierarchically. If I pre-decode the first 2 most significant bits, or it doesn't matter, the 2 least significant bits, whichever one I want to do, I pre-decode them. So 0, 0 has this pre-decoded value of, that's not, this has a pre-decoded value here. So I only have to run, instead of running 2 lines to the whole array, I'm running 1 line to a quarter of the array, 1 line to another quarter of the array, and that one to the 3rd quarter, and that one to the 4th quarter. I have reduced the number of routing lines that I have to route all the way through the chip by doing this decode hierarchy. And we'll talk about that more, and I'm almost done. I don't know what that means, and I've never had, yeah, okay. There's better ways to describe that, and we are done. Any questions? I'm going to do attendance by going back into my office tomorrow where I can do such things, since I don't have the sheet with me, I don't have my notebook, and basically just looking at the Zoom attendance. So don't worry, if you are here, I will mark you here. Any questions on the projects or anything like that? I will be in my office hours tomorrow, both virtually and in my office. It's supposed to stop. It's supposed to clear up from here. My driveway has been shoveled. I've got a Subaru. I can make it the mile and, or I can even walk. I can make it the mile and a half to school.
Apparently, what is it? Today's the last day of snow, and well, until Friday, where it's gonna snow some more.
Right, and that's when I'm going to Phoenix.
Apparently, it's not supposed to snow a ton on Friday, but it's just supposed to snow on Friday.
I'm going to get out in the early afternoon, and I'm going to spend the night with my son and get my shot. So it'll be good.
I
Okay.
might come into your office tomorrow if I'm having trouble with the project
Yes.
potentially.
Okay. Yeah.
If I end up making it into the building tomorrow.
Yeah. The one thing I noticed, I did go in yesterday to get my 280 notebook. I just didn't make it out the door today. I wasn't planning on going back, but there was too much crap out there. When I went in the back door by the IEEE room, there was a foot of snow up against that door, and I had to sit there and really yank on it to get the thing to open. I got it open far enough to squeeze myself into the door.
Well,
And
it
there
seems
was
I assume Hunter probably wasn't in IEEE.
maybe, yeah, no, because I was the first one to open the door. And there was a bobcat in the parking lot that was supposed to be out there like shoveling the snow in the parking lot. It was stuck. But my Subaru made it through. Okay, I will see you guys on Thursday. Hopefully some of you in person. Okay. All right, bye.
Yeah, the
Oh, there's stuff coming up in the chat.
Questions in the chat. Yeah, they're still enforcing parking just as hard as they were regardless of COVID.
Oh, no. I had a parking pass and I made the mistake of pulling through because I was only going to be in there like 5 minutes and I didn't think anything about it. By the time I got back, this was with COVID, I had a ticket on my car for pulling through, and there was like 2 other cars in the entire parking lot.
Yep. So I found something out about that actually, that of why the park services is so hard about tickets. Turns out
Okay.
NEU doesn't actually fund them, that they're entirely funded off the parking tickets.
Yeah,